planning to attempt UPSC Civil Services exam in the next 1 to 2 years? Well, this is the video which you should not miss. In this video, I'll be discussing about how the questions are asked in geography in the GS papers in the main section in the last 3 to 5 years, and this video will give you a complete understanding of how to approach geography and how are the trends and PYQs which are saying in the last 3 to 5 years. Hello everyone, this is Venkatesh, your faculty for geography, and this is what we will be discussing in this session. So, see, I always believe that whenever you are preparing, you should know how the questions are asked, so that will always give you an edge in terms of concentrating your limited scarce time and focus on that particular topic well. Yes, in terms of our preparation, there is always a holistic approach of broad-based preparations. That should be always be there, and then we need to prioritize some aspects how questions are being asked, right? So, if you see the questions which are asked in geography in the last 3 to 5 years in the GS Mains paper 1 of the general studies, you'll always find that in a range of at least around 7 to 9 questions which are asked in geography in the main section, contributing at somewhere from 90 to 115 marks. So roughly we can say 100 marks. 100 marks out of 250 in GS paper 1. That means geography is a very, very important stronghold subject. Any subject which is scoring at least around, giving you an option of 100 marks in the mains exam, you have to target it efficiently. Now, if you see it here, the themes which are asked, one major theme which is very simple and easy to say is salient features of world physical geography, which they are asking. Now, if you see the questions in the last 3 to 5 years, most of the themes which are from physical geography section, at least you will find that there are mostly from the static point of view. Very simple, easy. If you have thoroughly prepared your current affairs, thoroughly prepared NCERT, or for that matter, a basic reading of each and every topic, you can attempt these questions very well. Simple, straightforward, static, which are there in every kind of a standard book, right? So I have covered these kind of things in almost all the classes, and this every faculty does that. So there is nothing like new here. Now you see here. Now, most of the questions which you tend to come across in these kind of questions, there would be simple, but occasionally there would be some randomness or difficult ones involved. So for example, in 6 questions, if they ask you around at least 3 questions, they would be approachable. You can easily approach, and one question you will find difficulty, because only maybe an optional student can prepare very well on that. For example, you see this, they have asked a question on fjords. Not many of you can answer that, except you are an optional student, or you can ask you only some kind of dimensions you can answer. But if you see the remaining things, identify and discuss the factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation in India. Very easy to answer. What are Aurora Australis and Aurora Borealis? They are asking. They have asked one more question. Why troposphere is the most important layer? They have asked such kind of questions, and they are always easier than as you find it. So this section, you just need to stay consistent in terms of your static portion, and you would be fairly doing well. And you can expect that every year at least 2 questions can be asked out of that. Mostly they will be clear forward, straightforward, rather than occasionally once or twice they will ask you random like fjords. This is physical geography section, including India, including world. Now, if you move further, this is where the complexity begins. Now, sir, volcanoes, are they not part of physical geography? Cyclones, are they not part of physical geography? Then why are you asking keeping as a separate theme like geophysical phenomena theme 2? It is because most of you are unaware about the syllabus reading very well. The syllabus itself says salient features of world physical geography. The syllabus itself says important geophysical phenomena, earthquakes, tsunami, volcanoes, cyclones. So is the syllabus not telling you that it is an important aspect? Is the syllabus not aware that these are part and parcel of the physical geography? Then why did they mention it as a separate thing? Telling you, watch it, see it, and study these things very well, right? So, in fact, among all the sections, this is the most dominant theme UPSC is asking in the last 10 years. The number of questions are quite huge in this section. Now, last year, they asked this question. What are tsunamis? Simple, straightforward. What are tsunamis? How are they formed? Where are they formed? What are their consequences? Straightforward questions. Can't you answer that? If you have prepared and focused on the syllabus wordings and understood and prepared well, you could have answered that. Right? See, there are always questions which would be difficult. There would be questions which should be answered. It all tells about how well have you prepared. So this is what my focus is about. Then you see, changes in, and they have asked another question last year only. Changes in shapes and sizes of continents and ocean basins based on tectonic movements. How many times did we discuss plate tectonics question? Right? Very easy. And now in every section, they will try to pick you a random thing. They've asked a twister. How are the majority of the twisters observed in areas around the Gulf of Mexico? So they can always ask such kind of random questions. Twister is nothing but tornado. So atmospheric instability questions, geophysical phenomena, they can ask. Now I can keep it as part of the world physical geography, or I can call it as a geophysical phenomena. That's a different scenario. Then the most important theme which is running across in the world, climate and environment. Often, whenever you have studied geography, definition of geography is all about interdisciplinary nature, interlinkages. So if you see it from that perspective, in the present era, they're asking whatever the questions which are there in physical geography, in the Indian geography and every dimension, they're linking with climate change. They're linking with environment. So geography vis-a-vis climate change, geography vis-a-vis environment. So you need to focus on that. A very, very important theme. The number of questions are increasing in this theme regularly because of the obvious nature how it is happening and impacting life around us. So you can see the last 2 years, you can see in the 2025, they asked a straightforward question. Sea level rise, climate change are affecting the very existence of many island nations. Very straightforward. Sustainable growth, emphasis on environmental protection could come into conflict with people's poor needs in a country like India. Now you can talk it as society, whatever, but look at how sustainable growth with environment are linking with poverty. So there is interlinking of the subjects. Now society is also being interlinked sometimes, right? Then what is sea surface temperature rise? Rise in the temperatures, global warming. How does it affect the formation of tropical cyclones? Cloud burst. Every year you are finding one kind of a question out of that. So this is one theme which you cannot ignore. Then as you move forward, the syllabus itself says natural resource. See, very simple. Go back to the syllabus. This is what I'm calling it as salient features of physical geography. This is what I'm calling about the theme called natural resources. This is what I'm talking about. I would be discussing called economic activities. This is what I would be calling it as geophysical phenomena. And the last one, changes in critical geographical features, water bodies, ice caps and all. This is what is climate change. Right? So this is how I have divided from the syllabus. Right? Okay. Then natural resources. These days, because resources, scarce resources, rising conventional, rising non-conventional ones, solar energy, wind, geothermal. These days, with respect to the nuclear energy, thorium and all, I think the fast breeder reactors which we had, that with respect to the next stage, they might ask you questions with respect to the energy resources as a critical aspect, because energy is the fundamental reason for the growth of any country. And even we knew that India is now entering into that phase where we need energy like anything. So that is where the focus is also there, and this is an important theme where the questions are increasing on a daily basis, whether it is energy, whether it is water, whether it is land, soil, whatever. Right? So the key natural resources, they're asking various dimensions. On one side, they did ask you about solar energy. On another side, they have asked you about the offshore oil reserves. They might ask you with respect to critical energy minerals this year. They can ask you the groundwater potential for the Gangetic Valley, these water resources, how the world is confronted with the crisis of availability and access to freshwater resources. Such kind of things you are always finding it. So resources is always an important theme in the geography exam. Then economic activities. Now, last year they did ask you a question, what are non-farm primary activities? Now, the syllabus itself has told you distributions of primary, secondary, tertiary services, factors affecting their distribution. If you have understood what is that, you would have got the non-farm primary activities like fishing and all those dimensions. So these are also what you say, in terms of a bit straightforward, a bit kind of thing. The location affecting the industries like the traditional method, slowly they are moving away from that. I think it has been a decent time where they did ask you a question about an industry and asking a question about where are they located and all, but they are asking about other economic activities as a theme. So we have to balance both. That is always there in terms of the approach which we need to follow. Okay. So once again, how green revolution you are doing, they're asking. Then if you see the other questions, there is also a growing questions on social geography, population, migration and all. Sir, UPSC did not say relevantly that there is a question which would be asked on that. UPSC also did not say that this is geography and this is society. Did they mention in the GS paper 1? No. They only given the statements. Out of that, which is geography, which is society, nobody is here to differentiate. So there are asking questions about space dimensions and all, and social plus geography, they are society, plus geography, they are increasing another interlinking theme they are asking. So this is also a focus which you cannot avoid. See, they are asking interlinking the subjects, the distribution and density of population, how the population is distributed in the Ganga river basin, and how they are referring with respect to the water availability in that region, soil availability, land availability. What are they doing? They are connecting the dots. They are asking you not static question alone. Are you having the ability of critical thinking? They are analyzing that. Okay. They don't want you to simply by heart this and go to the exam. They want you to think, right? Then, if you see, why do large cities tend to attract migrants than smaller towns? Large cities tend to attract than smaller towns. Whether it is migration, whether it is society, whatever, this is a theme asked in geography, which you can also prepare. You can talk about it as a society, but this is how I would be dividing. Demographic winter, you can see that around the world, how we are finding that aging population is a big challenge. Such kind of questions are regularly asked. Now, there are some random questions are also which are being asked, like artificial intelligence and drones. be used with respect to GIS techniques in location and area planning? Well, whatever, some randomness can be there, but the whole idea of preparation for next few years, what should be that? Out of every 8 questions asked in every year, we can divide them into fundamental questions, basic questions. You can divide them into fundamental plus critical thinking needed. You can divide them into current affairs. Any theme you can divide, or you can divide them into randomness. But the thing is very simple. You need to focus on your basic syllabus, comprehensive understanding. Focus on not just reading the topic and completing it. Use your brain and start thinking and connecting the syllabus. That is very, very critical. And once you do all these kind of things and you keep on practicing answers, fairly you should be doing well, right? So the idea is simple. Follow the events, understand the norms, and try to practice. At least you should be able to write around 30-40 geographical answers before your prelims exam, so that there is a minimum amount of practice you have done, right? At least I told you, it could be ranging from 40 to 60 questions which you can practice, which will help you to clear this exam. Right then, all of you, that is what I would be discussing. This is what is the idea in this session. I hope you all got the points now. Further, we will be discussing about other things. Watch out for this channel. We will be giving more such updates relevant to your exam. This is Venkatesh signing off. Thank you, all of you.